Tiyayukuy hatun wil kawaikicha Madhu Anziani. I welcome you into my heart, into my cosmic space, my brother. You are the epitome of the cosmic symphony, the music that transforms all hucha into sami and kanchai. Thank you so much for showing up, brother, on this rendezvous with soul. I have a couple of questions for you that will illumine and irradiate your beauty as a Pachacuti Mesa sanctioned teacher in the world. And deeply appreciate any reflections and answers you can provide, my good brother. So, my first question to you is, number one, I love you. And I know you love me, and that question is answered. Number two, what initially drew you into this path, into this cross-cultural shamanic service path of the Pachacuti Mesa tradition? How did you get here?
Thank you, Don Oscar. I'd like to first introduce myself formally and say my name, Madhu Anziani Gotai Farinachi Ferrer Torres Perez Goldfarb Schmondrowski Pullman Ansis Sabati.
Bien citado.
And I say my full name because when I speak of my spiritual path, I'm aware that nothing is possible without my ancestors. And so I wish to invite them all here to be present with me, to be present with us in this dialogue. And I would like to share, I'm not sure if you know this, Don Oscar, but the day before I met you in person, I was almost struck by lightning. I was with Alexander Kugler, another sanctioned teacher, and my dear soul brother. And we were almost struck by lightning. The kakyarayu, the hanakpacha kakyarayu, the blessing-giving lightning bolt of mystic illumination. Luckily, it didn't strike us directly, but it was close enough, maybe 50 yards away, that it definitely shook us and told us that something special was about to begin. And when I go in deeper and think about what drew me to the Pachacuti Mesa tradition, it's really a story about music and healing. That's been the journey of my life path in deepening my spirituality. I've always been a musician, growing up in a home where one of my parents is Jewish, so I was exposed to many prayers and chants in the Hebrew language. One of my parents is from Puerto Rico, which is a very musical lineage with very rhythmic flavors. So music has always brought me closer to spirit. And my healing path, well, this takes me back 11 years ago now. When I was 23 years old, I had a very serious injury, life-changing event, in which I fell from 2 stories high and I shattered 2 neck vertebrae. And this rendered me as a quadriplegic. I was totally paralyzed. I was on a ventilator. I was told that I would never be able to use my body in the same way again, that I'd be confined to a wheelchair, and that I might not even be able to speak. I might not even be able to have a voice. I got to live through this experience. I got to experience it full on. What it means to be reborn. I experienced for myself a miraculous healing. A lot of it was through sound, through vibration, through feeling the currents of sound in my body, from chanting, from listening to beautiful music from different world traditions, and allowing that to reshape my body and eventually begin to move my body again and to learn how to do everything from the very basics: eating, breathing, getting dressed, standing, and eventually walking again. And I feel emotional when I talk about it because the journey of healing and restarting my life and learning how to walk again, I knew that what I was walking into was a life path of healing and being able to eventually teach the healing ways to others. And so I began my healing journey by going deeply into the practice of sound, of chanting mantra in Sanskrit, in Tibetan, and feeling these primordial vibrations in my body and allowing it to activate the vital energy centers in my body and seeing the results of my rapid, accelerated, miraculous recovery. And all the doctors witnessed this. All of my family and friends witnessed this. And I walked out of the hospital. So on my journey of going back into the world, I began to study with different teachers around the use of sacred sound for healing. I studied with a Qigong master, Master Ming Tong Gu, who taught me of embodiment and using the mind to heal the body. And so I got to a certain point in my journey where I was embodied enough that I felt the call from nature, from Pachamama. I felt the call to go to Mount Shasta for the first time. I had heard of Mount Shasta, but I didn't really know what it was about until I arrived there and felt for the first time in my life the aliveness of Mama Pacha, Mother Nature. And I lived for an entire summer in a tent next to a river, and I bathed myself in the river, and I could hear the whispers of the spirit of nature speaking to me for the very first time in my life. And I knew that the next level of my healing needed to include a deepening into earth stewardship, into being connected to the spirit of earth in a very deep way. And so I encountered a friend, Gianna Gowan, who showed me her Pachacuti Mesa. And then I knew this was a way that I needed to study. And she was the woman who brought me into this tradition and showed me how to assemble my very first Pachacuti Mesa. And from there on, I took it in, embodied the teachings, the lineage, the wisdom. And from that place, the music came through, the sound. And my journey in receiving these teachings has been so much about discovering what is the music of this great tradition and allowing myself to be a vessel for creating sound, creating songs that reflect these devotional earth honoring practices. And so now myself and my brother Alexander Kugler, we recorded 2 albums based on the Pachacuti Mesa tradition teachings.
I thank Gaia's love song for having consistently been your companion. And the dimension that both you and Alex have added to the practice of the Pachacuti Mesa cross-cultural shamanic arts with the songs that you elaborated based on your initiation into those wisdom realms have just amplified its field of efficacy and of service in the world. And I'm forever grateful, brother. We have a compacto, as you well know, a bit different than other compactos. And it shall continue, and it shall flourish. And thank you for your story of how you came to this great work. I love you, brother.
I love you too.
I have one more question for you. And that is, in what most significant manner has your life transformed, changed, evolved, expanded as a result of being a practitioner and now a sanctioned mentor of these sacred healing arts?
Well, to me, it feels really like a question of embodiment. How I've been able to embody the teachings. And in the beginning, it was more an experience of emulating the teachings, learning the rituals and thinking about what are the components of the rituals, how to get it right. Am I doing it right? And emulating the teacher. And even in the beginning processes of becoming a teacher, there's still this way of emulating as opposed to emanating. To be a sanctioned teacher, I've come into the embodiment of these ways and I've begun emanating, where I'm no longer thinking of the components of the practices. They are within. And through repetition, through the consistency of rituals, it's become this living presence that awakens through me in every moment. And I can offer that now to my apprentices. And it's something that it's difficult to put words to, but I'm aware that it can be felt. One of the things that I've been thinking about being a teacher is how many times I've repeated the rituals, the practice of opening sacred containers, the sacred space by the art of invocation, by using the voice to intone the words Pachamama, Mamakia, Viracocha, Inti, and Quichi. Each time those words are invoked with a full breath, one breath devoted to the vibration of each of those realms, each of those essences. It is an embodiment practice. And so I was thinking about how we intone the directions 3 times each. We close the directions 1 time each. How many dozens of times, how many hundreds of times have I devoted my breath, my spirit to those vibrations, to those essences? This is the embodiment that I've experienced becoming a sanctioned teacher. And when I say the word sanctioned teacher, it feels great. I love the term sanctioned teacher or sanctioned mentor. And you know, it feels like really it's about being a steward of the teachings, a kampikamayok, a carrier of this medicine. And what does it mean to be a carrier of this medicine? It means that when somebody comes along my path, I have to share it. I must share this medicine. And thankfully, we're in a time where it's well received. And it is so important to share it right now. And I feel fortunate that I can be a teacher of these ways in a time like this, where we have this opening and people are very receptive to to receiving teachings from these ways. So I think as a sacred sound practitioner, as a practitioner of mantra, we recite mantras, we chant, for instance, like the Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava mantra, Om Ah Hum, Benza Guru Bema Siddhi Hum. And the essence of this mantra contains all the teachings of the Buddha. And how many recitations of this mantra does it take to attain the luminous rainbow body? They say it takes 10 million recitations. And it's also said that it takes just 100 recitations in order to receive all that we need in this life: food, shelter, sustenance, people who are part of our soul family. And so taking that into my awareness, when I'm intoning the sounds Pachamama, Mama Kia, and so forth, I know that it is drawing this energy in the tradition, the elders, the lineage, all of the teachers from time immemorial, to be in the space, to be here now. That, to me, is what it means to be a teacher, is to bring those essences alive into the room, into the space, to commune with nature, to be a part of this co-created reality that we're in. And so as I share these teachings with my apprentices, I feel like I've become like a father. I feel like I've become kind of like a gardener, where I have a whole year with these people who are so open to learn and to heal. And within that year, it allows for a spaciousness and a great patience within my being to witness them grow and learn and see how these teachings in and of themselves allow for restoration in their lives of relationships and the balance in the elemental world. I begin to see my apprentices learn that they are of the earth, they are of the stars, they are of the light, they are luminous beings. And that is a patient process. That's not something that can be done over a Zoom call or a YouTube informative video. These are the teachings that take time to land and to grow. And so I see how, as a teacher, I've learned to watch my apprentices learn their autonomy, because it's all there in the wisdoms of this lineage. And I'm just always full of gratitude in the way that I get to serve, stand, hold these teachings, and watch the beauty that unfolds.
Your wisdom is deep, your love is infinite, your presence is embodied light in the world. Thank you for showing up, for being part of that golden chain of initiates of the great work. It is a process without finality, as you well know, my brother. You are supreme embodiment of that process, able to bring creative space into the bones of the tradition and allowing your breath to be the vehicle for the sacred sound of creation's dreaming to touch the hearts and destiny of our humankind. Can't wait to be in circle with you again, my brother. Any final words you have before we close?
Ia tekse taitanchis wiracocha pachacama hampi kamayo ahayo pachamama ahayo mamakia ahayo wiracocha ahayo inti ahayo kuichi Ñocanchis, Pachamamak churinkuna, ñocanchis, Intik churinkuna, ñocanchis, Kwichi runakuna. May good medicine prevail. I'm so honored to connect with you today, Don Oscar, Maestro. Thank you.
Hailey. Hasta la próxima, hermano. Until next time. Thank you.